Hello, I am Sweet Pea,
And I'm Pretty Bird.
and together we are pretty sweet. Welcome to Pretty Sweet Distractions, where we speak unfiltered about life, love, poetry, and prowess. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the distractions in a form of open poetry, open discussions on artful words. For the rules, we are grown up people talking about grown up things using grown up words. If you're easily offended, this may not be your bouncing tea bag, cup of tea, or whatever floats your boat. We like to have fun, poke fun, and generally have a great time. If you're down to be distracted, come hang out, chat, call, like, follow, share, leave your opinions on our opinions. Click on all the hearts and show us some love. We have live streams every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. And tonight is all about aliens. Intelligent life isn't always easy to come by, but we can't be alone in the unknowns of the universe. Do you believe in alien abduction? What if Earth is just a tourist destination for extraterrestrials? Let your imagination run wild. Tonight's about flash fiction, about story time. So that's what we're going to hear, some great stories, some flash fiction, some words about alien abductions, or anything else someone might bring about what they see as an alien abduction. I can't wait. I'm very excited. Should be a lot of fun. So let's get to getting. I'm very excited because for me, I have that great fun, that usual mindscape of mine where, we certainly cannot be the only ones. When I was very young, like very little in this world, I used to imagine that aliens lived in streetlights. So, like when you were driving down the road and it was dark at night, and you would see the beams of the streetlights and they would kind of follow your car, that those were aliens. Aliens lived, they were so tiny, and they followed you at every lamp and every street light and every um, stoplight and everything. There were always aliens. They weren't these huge, massive things coming to get us, but these little teeny tiny light. They were little tiny probes, and they could always be. They could go up your nose. They could go in your eyes. They could go anywhere, but they were in lights, and that was my whole thing. That aliens weren't these massive things that were going to come and get us. They were actually just these little tiny things that lived in our light bulbs. I don't know why I thought that. I was really young, and I would just sit there and think about it the whole time we were on these long trips or at night, and I'd be like, oh, they're following us. Because they'd always leave these lights would leave these long shadows, and they just would look like they followed you down the road with your car all the time. And that was like the craziest thing I thought was, that's what's going to happen. These are aliens. And of course, I still have the belief that there are certain snakes that are out to get me, so that they are definitely aliens and snakes. I don't know why, but I have this un unrealistic fear of snakes. So I think they're some kind of weird alien creature that was made just to torture certain other creatures. Um, it's weird, I know that. But I love stories of the aliens because I truly believe we can't be the only intelligent life. Nor obviously, even just based on things we've seen, things we've sent out into the universe, are we the only universe. It's so vast, and it keeps going and going and going and going. To believe that we're the only life, it's just very egotistical, narcissistic. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we may never find it, or they may never find us, but to think that we're the only ones, I can't fathom it. I just can't. Maybe there's always that thought that we're a bug in a jar, or we're someone else's experiment. They're looking at us, they're counting us. We're somebody else's ants. I mean, it's another you know this crazy idea, because we keep ant farms and all that. And maybe we are somebody's ant farm. And I like to think that. Can you imagine that somebody's just watching us, and they're watching us watch the ants, and the ants are watching the amoebas, and all of that? So that fascinates me too. um, because we could be somebody else's experiment. So my mind just starts to race with all of those things about how it could possibly be all these many things that we are or aren't. Just the way our own body works, the cells in our body, and how they change, and how they, can be uh, changed for the good or changed for the bad, and manipulated and mutated, and all of these things. So alien abduction is, some people think, oh, from the space, but we have alien abductions in our own mutations, and they are not always the greatest things, and we have new ones all the time. We're fighting that battle all the time. So it is a subject that fascinates me, not just as far as the little green men, but what's really out there, what's happening, where's it coming from, and the more we go to space, that's awesome. But I also think that the one thing that we don't really know what's under, it's what's under the water, what's really down in the ocean, because that might be where the aliens are really going to come from. We can't go down there. We're not smart enough to figure out how to go too deep. How far down can we go? Because we keep.
I get pretty deep.
I mean, we've managed to go figure out some things we can do in space, but we ain't cracking that downward spiral. We're not quite there yet. And every time we get further down, we find so many fascinating things, and so that's another really deep subject. Excuse me, pun. But that's fascinating too. How far are we going to be able to go down? Because, and I'm just making rack table. I think that's another, level of what's there, what can come up and get us, or what can save us, what can save the world, what's under there. I mean, supposedly that's where we started from, so maybe that's where our saviors are. Um, Pretty Bird, what are your thoughts?
We should probably get Rack's thoughts before he disappears on us.
Oh, okay, Rack, what are your thoughts?
Did we miss
Yeah,
it? Is he halfway out?
yeah. As soon as you say something, he goes, had him
I'm not
giggling and
insulted.
everything.
It's fine.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, so here's the thing. Um, I kind of love sci-fi movies, and so my ideas of extraterrestrials are probably mundane and probably whatever. I'm not one to sit there and draw them and be that kind of alien insight. But I get fascinated by the idea of Whoville, by the idea of the first Men in Black movie where, whatever's on Orion's belt, and it's a cat collar with a 1 inch orb that's an entire galaxy. So I do love the idea that there are, galaxies within galaxies within galaxies, just out, like a long row of mirrors and a 15 reflection infinity deep kind of thing where we don't know what we don't know. I mean, could there be just different variations of whatever exists here? Yes. But how boring is that? And I don't know anybody that has never contemplated the possibilities of things. And as this planet is doing what this planet seems to be doing, the idea of having to go off planet to find generational sustainable living is uh, more and more in the forefront. And I find it an interesting thing because number one, what the hell? And I say this because if we're going to deplete our own planet, what kind of giant cojones do we have to go to a planet we know nothing about? Have whatever biospheres, do whatever it is we have to do to sit there and make it habitable once we deplete this one. And so now we are those stories, those sci-fi movies that consume all the resources and leave whatever's living there with nothing. And because we don't know what microorganisms are there. We may not ever have the proper advanced technology to even realize that there are life forms, because we can only test for what we know. We can only test
Right.
for all of these things, and we're left to um, an infinite number of hypotheses and possibilities for what things can and can't be, and that does not play well with my brain. All I know is, if we go by what we know, we should put more effort into this planet. And then, while we still go and in search of, but here's the thing. It's one thing to be cordial and be nice and whatever, assuming polite society is the norm, where you're like, hey, come visit us, come look, come chat. Hello, extraterrestrials, as we send things out there decades ago. We don't know what the hell we're going to invite back here light years away, and when it's going to come here. They might be all, oh, look, they invited us to lunch and devour us whole. What the hell do we know what we've done? Because we're so unfortunately arrogant that we think that what's nice to us can't be seen as not nice to weird things we know nothing about. So if there is intelligent life, why would we automatically assume that we're going to invite them and they're going to not eat us or not whatever? Or, sometimes, I mean, even on this planet, there are countries where you do not look the people in the eye. And so here we are looking people in the eye and being like, hey, want to hang out? We do it to ourselves. Whatever we get, because it's one thing to be nice and welcoming, but if we know nothing about nothing, it's almost disrespectful to be all, and I know, controversy, whatever. But here's the thing. If I'm a person, and I don't particularly like being approached by weirdos, and now there's a whole planet of weirdos approaching us, like if we're the aliens and we come across hey, how are you? Welcome, come visit. I would be like, listen, fuckers, you know, I'm like, leave me the hell alone. But all right, I'll go say hi. But it may not necessarily be just normal curiosity. It may be, I did not know that anything was out there. Let's go and check it out. And next thing you know, we're putting the natives, i.e., us, in on reservations, and they're taking over everything, and it's Planet of the Apes.
I love that.
I mean, the possibilities are endless. It's nice to think that reaching out, putting things out there, the excitement of other life forms, especially intelligent or outwardly, visibly, quantitatively intelligent life forms, right? But
Right.
but here's the thing. We don't know what we don't know, and we could absolutely be the arrogant idiots bothering everybody else. And then we're going to be like, why don't they like us when they start, assimilating and other things? And next thing so I don't know. All I know is that I think we need to do a better job of treating the people that are on this planet than giving a crap about the ones that aren't. Now, I love the idea of all of these, the possibility of infinite life forms and infinite intelligence. I love the idea that we could very, very possibly be the dumbest of all semi-intelligent life forms out there. I'm okay with all of that. I think that's fascinating. but I have to wonder why most of the, just historically speaking here on Earth, why most of the depictions of aliens are humanoid, and why when they're not, they're almost comical. I mean, we don't know. And so we like friendly versus not friendly and things that are less threatening to look at for movies and whatnot. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it yet. Amazon Prime has a movie called Project Hail Mary. I absolutely suggest everybody go watch that. It's freaking fabulous. It's a little slow moving, but it's fabulous. And that alien's a rock with 5 legs. And I don't mind that it's a rock, and I don't mind that it's got legs. But there's something that is wonderfully unsettling about the fact that there's 5 of them, because it's not even. And we're, on this planet, except if you're not a starfish or an octopus, it's basically 2 legs or 4 legs. And so that 5th leg, while it works, it's very like mentally off-putting just a little bit. And I love that, because we don't know anything about anything, and it's all about people's imagination. But even E.T. was cute and had like human-like eyes. Like whatever we do to with these sci-fi things, it's interesting. I think that the most for me, the most plausibly realistic was on Life, which is that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds, and they're in space. And look, it's a tiny little blob, and this blob kind of takes things over, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And instead of being sent one place, it was sent someplace else. It is kind of amazing, because they depicted this blob that every cell in its body was an eye. Not that it looked like an eye, it looked like a blob, but each cell, they're like, look, it's got a visual cortex and all this stuff. And it was the most interesting depiction of the possibilities, because the possibilities are endless, of life form, that I found amazing. And it's those, the ones that are not humanoid, the ones that are not based off of things that are familiar, that I find most plausibly realistic, because we don't know, you know? And it's one thing to have spores, and it's one thing and I'm not talking that, I'm talking about watching the evolution of people's imagination, what aliens could be. And the ones that are seemingly benign, that end up not being benign, because life forms have to eat, and they're going to find food wherever they find food. I find that to be interesting. And it's funny, because when Aliens first came out, Alien first came out, with a xenomorph of whatever it is, yada yada, blah blah blah, giant head, acid slobber, tail, and hands and feet. I was just like, but why? It was so good, but why does it have to be humanoid? With all of the prequels between Prometheus and all the things, and all the backfilled storyline, if you watch them, are they great standalone movies? Maybe not. But if you watch them, why it looks the way it looks is a beautiful story in and of itself, because it did not look like that. It looked like a space herpy, to be honest with you. And what was that movie? Space Pirates? Anyways,
Space
but it looked
Pirates,
like,
yeah.
it kind of looked like that, and it's like this long whatever, eel looking whatever. And when it uses a different life form as a host, it takes on bits and pieces of that. So it took on the eel, it took on the dog, it took on more. The more humans they used as hosts, the more bipedal it became. And I kind of find that to be genius, to backfill that, to answer the question, why on earth would it be bipedal? If it's got all these other things, why have that seemingly human aspect? And they absolutely did an excellent job um, filling all of that in. So if it ends up eating other things, it's going to eat other things and it's going to look like other things. So technically speaking, if we find out that there are all these other planets with life on them and these pods made it to these other planets, their version of this alien is going to look completely different. I'm sure it'll still have that armor, the acid, slobber, all of the things, but it'll look completely different. And I find the ideology behind that to be absolutely freaking brilliant. It's it kind of filled something in my brain that I didn't know needed to be filled because I never really outwardly asked myself, why do all these aliens, why are they all humanoid? I mean, I get that for movies and for whatnot that they are, let's make these natives feel more comfortable, and this is the best amalgamation of like things that we can do. I get that. I get that the idea behind that, but I really appreciate that they backfilled that this is why they look that way, because they will look different for everybody. And I find things like that genius because scientifically speaking, that to me makes a lot more sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And who knows what all these things are going to look like. Now, I love Star Wars and I love Star Trek and I love these things. I'm Star Wars over Star Trek. It is what it is. But again, a lot of these aliens, just for ease of use and the fact that they're people and all this stuff, are very similar despite their differences. So I really appreciate aliens that have nothing to do with anything familiar. But because they're unfamiliar, sometimes they either come off as ridiculous or they come off as uncomfortable. But when they cross into that uncomfortable realm, I find it to be more believable and a lot more disconcerting, you know? And with the exception of things like, I don't remember I don't know if you remember, back in the day, I know in the 80s, there was a miniseries called V that ended up being a TV show. Now, I
Oh, I love
loved that entire thing. So they came out looking all human. They were all lizard people. And in the TV show, they ended up, crossbreeding and all the things. And it was a fascinating thing, but it was very much don't trust them. It doesn't matter how nice they are. They're going to show you everybody's treacherous. And I loved the idea, the social kind of microscope that it put people on, where it's like these are friendlies, these are not, these are for, these are against, and how quickly we assimilate to people that we assume are more intelligent than we are, to beings that we don't know are friend or foe, but we want to believe so badly that we get screwed left and right. And maybe that's human nature, but I loved that when I was a kid. Also, because the guy who played Brian wrote me a handwritten fan letter when I was like 12, and I still have it to this day. It was the best thing ever. I can't even tell you. Anyways, TMI. But as an adult, I much prefer the unknown to stay unfamiliar, because that makes it feel more likely. And if it's more likely, then it's more true. Now, so there are a lot of cases of alien encounters and all the probes and all of this and all of that. I mean, I don't understand the idea of the probing, because here's the thing. Scientifically speaking, kill it and dissect it. There's no probing and putting it back. Why are you going to stick things in those places? Why are there so many more men than women that are abducted? Why is it always the anal probing, but you don't hear the other probing so much? Not from the women's cases, it's always the anus. What's so fascinating about a shithole? I mean, seriously. And it just doesn't make any scientific sense to me to probe and then release. It's not like you're catching them, it's not like a fish where you catch it and release. It's not like you're setting something out there and hooking them by the butthole, bringing them up there, weighing it for a contest, and then sending them back down. It just doesn't make any sense to me because there are so many other ways to get information off of a body or a new species. And I get the observing and I get the let's take blood, let's do this, let's do that. I understand that. And then eventually dissect it. I understand that. I just don't understand why everybody gets anal probed. It's the most, I was going to say asinine, but haha, it's a little ridiculous to me, because I'm not saying that there aren't abductions. I am absolutely saying, you know, there is, if you've been abducted, you've been abducted. I'm not going to tell you you're not. It's not my experience. But, I mean, test intelligence, test reflexes, test all of these things. Why is it instantly a gaping anus? I will never understand. Just
I don't know. That's just funny. Maybe it's the thing that doesn't communicate. They want to keep it talking.
I mean, it's just the weirdest thing.
It is, and why is it always rednecks? Never seen the president get picked up.
I don't know if they would be allowed to say, no, we can't have you look even more crazy.
Mm-mm.
Put in your memoirs long after you're out of office.
Yep. Long after you're out. That would be great if just one of them would be. Just one. We just need one. Then again, there is Area 51 where they say a lot of our presidents have been in a lot of top secret things.
Well, this is true.
They cannot say.
So,
scary things right around there.
Why would there be like one major place for all of this stuff to take place? Now, as far as Area 51, they could have anything in there. They could have all kinds of scientific anomalies. They can have all kinds of unanswered questions. They could have all kinds of quarantine things. If there's aliens and spaceships and they're there, that's fabulous. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with them all being humanoid by depiction and story, because the likelihood of that is minuscule, So
the likelihood to me is every person that's ever stepped in there for the last 50 years, 60 years, keeping quiet, never saying a word.
Well,
that's what's unlikely.
I don't think so. But in Area 51 or in the alien space. Well, here's the thing: under threat of death, because top secret is top secret. You don't talk or you die. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
And back in the days of full-on double agent espionage and all the things, then nobody would. That looked like a heart attack. I know nothing. So.
My God. But nowadays, I don't
know. Top secret is top secret. Not everything is for public consumption. I'm not. I would be more concerned with why things are secret and they can't let people know. And I get that then you want all the other scientists and they want access and this and that. And maybe we don't share all of the things, or maybe we figured something out and they have to stay wherever they are to keep everybody else. So whatever, I don't freaking know. All I know is if celebrities can have airtight non-disclosures that end in bad things and the government doesn't play nice, I am not at all confused. That's why nobody wants to talk.
The government does not play nice. Yeah, that's
Nope.
true. This is true.
And
George Clooney
yeah.
can have airtight clauses, so can the government.
And so then you've got so they don't play nice. And then my mind went someplace else, and then I was just like, oh, my brain just shut off. So the government plays the whole need to know game. And so if the higher ups don't need to know what these people over here do, if we don't know what side they're going to play on, if we're not sure, and they know this little bit, and this, they know there's something, they haven't seen it, whatever it is, it's almost like we keep everybody the way it's been depicted. You know, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. You've got like 5 people that know all the things, and that's how things stay mysterious. And I don't know how much I actually give a shit, to be honest with you, because we all kind of live in our own little world. And if we already assume that there are other life forms out there, knowing that they are on the planet definitively, it's either going to make you paranoid or you're going to be like, ooh, hurricane party. That would be that girl. Until it's in my face, until we know more, you're either going to worry or not worry. So why incite a panic? I mean, listen, back in the day with the radio and War of the Worlds, that was some scary shit. And that could absolutely happen again if we're like, oh, yes, well, this is real and here's a glimpse, but we're not going to tell you anything else. So scaremongering, because that's how people are, worst case scenarios, and all the fear. And so I see why we're kept in the dark, because collectively speaking, as a whole, people are kind of idiots. Like, they have no sense. We have no sense, especially in this mob mentality, clickbait having thing where we don't get all the information. We read the highlights and then we think that that's all that there is, and then we overreact accordingly, and everybody's wrong. So I can see where maybe they don't want that to happen. And then and then, you know, if we have aliens and other countries don't have aliens and they're going to want the aliens, that's a whole other unfortunate mess.
Right. Yeah.
And this is also what I don't understand.
The panic of the world. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, apparently there's a lag.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, no, you were fine, but I was going to say, why is it that we have them? Shouldn't everybody have an alien? They can't all have landed in New Mexico.
I think they do have them. We just don't know about them.
You know, I don't know that other countries, all other countries anyway, are as secretive. Big countries, maybe. But you think that they haven't landed in third world countries? You think that they haven't landed elsewhere, or they haven't assimilated elsewhere? If they've assimilated at all, they're not all going to be in the same place, or even in the top 3 places. There should be evidence all over the fucking place. And I mean,
well, I know Britain has a secret file about their alien encounters, and I know France does. Those are the only 2 that I know of, but I don't really study them, so I'm not like all into that. So I mean, that's a whole.
So, well, why is it always, you know, the Western world? Why is it always, you know, why isn't it in the annals of time, just kind of like Star Trek Beyond, where they're not supposed to do whatever, and they need to stop at the beginning. They need to stop the volcano, but all of a sudden the Enterprise comes out of the water, and now they are bowing to the shape of the Enterprise because they in their histories, in their hieroglyphs, in their whatever, they depict what they see. They depict what they know. They depict what they believe. So why are there no spaceships? Why are there no consistent, you know, otherworldly beings? I don't understand why it's not more prolific, because you cannot tell me that um, there's been secret little agencies that are gathering up all the intel and not leaving a trace, because that's a fairly modern thing. But humanity has been around for quite a bit of time, and if there's no consistent anything through millennia, why then is it now all guarded and hoarded and all the things? If because nobody used to okay, that's not true. Nobody used to hoard the info, but yes, they did, because the histories that we see may not have been the histories as they were, because people like to be like, I was not weak and broken and sickly, I was this big strong king, or whatever the case may be. We don't know. So I don't know, I find it very, very interesting. Time and humanity, and how people have grown, societies, civilizations have grown, and yet these kinds of possibilities are intermittent and inconsistent. And I mean, I get that we're still figuring out all the animals in the ocean. I get that. Okay, we can only catalog what we can find. But at the same time, there are new species also evolving, and so things are always changing. Having said that, it's not like they've come here once and been like, oh, this is a shithole, and never come back. I could understand that. But if they're coming back on a fairly regular basis, that people are getting abducted, and there are archives and samples and all the things and whatever area you want to call it, there's nothing to stop them. Because obviously if people are getting abducted, whatever we've got in space, aimed at space, trying to save us from ourselves, isn't saving us from anything else. I find it confounding in a very interesting way, because I believe there has to be more than this on some level, because otherwise this is just a sad state of affairs,
Right.
But go ahead.
No, I mean, well, what I was going to say is that there are, but according to some people, they are leaving, like these mathematical formulas that aliens have left their marks, mathematically, like during like these different stones, like I think there's a stone structure in Ireland, there's one in Zimbabwe, Guatemala, Mexico, Stonehenge, and they all are somehow like precisely measured perfectly. Like there's no way anybody could have done that based on the time they were built by humans, but they are so precise. They think they were like some kind of ceremony or paths for other extraterrestrials to say, hey, we were here, just follow this map. And that's how they believe that the extraterrestrials actually mathematically formulated them for other extraterrestrials. So it's one of those things that they truly believe that was done, like the Easter Island statues and all of that.
Why? If they can go in space, why do they need stones as a map that they can't see from space?
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you why, but
So,
that's what humans are thinking, is that they left them here on Earth as a symbol to us that, hey, we were here, just figure it out.
well, I think what is more likely, in my ignorant opinion, is okay. Let's take apocalyptical movies, right? Where we used to know, or let's take Mad Max, where we used to know all the things the way we know them now. And then, you know, fast forward however many um, decades after the apocalypse, and people, there's no school, there's no this, there's no that. And so everything is word of mouth. Nobody knows how to read. People forget what letters are. And now they're starting from scratch. And starting from scratch, looking at the ruins of these steel structures, these skyscrapers, they'll never figure out how that was done because it's all lost. And even if they found it, they couldn't read it. So they then will have to figure out technology from scratch, and it's going to take a different path because that's just the nature of the beast. You know, people figure things out different ways without the guidelines. So just because we this whole span of time from the industrial age, we learned how to mechanize this and do that, and we can't replicate what they did, does not mean that they didn't figure it out 2,000, 3,000 years ago.
Absolutely
And
agree.
yeah, and so I would like to think that they were smarter than us because they had to do it with what they had, without the mechanisms, without the electronics, without any of these things doing half the work for you. They had to figure out a way with masses of people and whatever it is to do all the things that they did. And they had to have been brilliant, you know? And
Yeah.
I like the idea of that. Could it be a little bit of both? This could be, yeah, we don't fucking know, you know? But I love the idea that ancient civilizations were so much more um, intelligently advanced than we give them credit for, that they can figure this stuff out that we can't figure out with all the things that we think make us smarter, because obviously we're not, you know?
No, we can't rebuild the Colosseum to save our lives.
And I absolutely love that there are man-made mystery. Okay, we'll take the coral castle down in Miami, down in wherever the fuck it is down there. It's all coral. This is like a however many ton, like a 10-ton door that's got a couple of ball bearings or whatever, and you can open it with a single finger, open it and close it. And then when that thing failed, they struggled to make something work to be able to open and close that extremely heavy door. And this guy did it by himself, didn't write it down, died, and then nobody can figure it out. The way the bearings worked in that you can take 10 tons and open it with your pinky. So I absolutely believe that their ancient engineering skills, you know, minus the um, precision of modern math and physics, made them capable of more. Because while we think that things are unlimited, we are absolutely taught that there are confines to numbers and to this. They have to work within this in order to make sense. But I think that we forget that we do not define things with math and science. We have used math and science or I think I said it backwards. We use math. We came up with math and science to define what we already see and touch and feel, to make it make sense. In order for us to make it make sense, we figured out a way to make that happen. But now, fast forward, you know, 1,000 years, 100 and however many hundreds of years, and we're like, no, it's the math isn't mathing. Therefore, it has to be wrong. I'm like, we just haven't figured that out yet. What is your problem? You know, because
Right.
all of the natural world existed before math. It existed before science, before we called it science, to try to figure out why plants grow, to try to figure out, why bees are bees. You know, it was already there were already bees. Plants already grew. We had to backfill that knowledge, and it took it. Well, we're still doing it, trying to define our space, our world, the unknown, by things that we can understand. But there are things out there that, one, aren't meant to be understood. Two, we just haven't figured out yet. And three, you can't fit into numbers. You know, whatever, um, oh, the word that I'm thinking of, it starts with an A, anomalies. Jeez Louise. Whatever anomalies in this, that, or the other thing that you can't figure out with your standard math, it doesn't stop existing. It's not wrong. It's there. We just haven't figured out how to define it by modern day parameters. And what I can't for the life of me um, figure out is, why does it matter? I don't care why the sky is blue. I just know that blue is good. Gray and black in the daytime. Take shelter. You know, it's
Oh,
I don't need to know these gases and those gases, and is blue blue or is blue green, and I don't care, because it doesn't change what it is. It's still what it is, even if we define it differently. Hence, Shakespeare would a rose by any other name smell as sweet. If you like roses, yes. If you don't, it's going to smell like an ain't it, because everything comes back to the probing.
and my grandmother would have said, "Red at night, sailor's delight. Red in the morning, sailor's warning," because you got to watch your skies. So it's all the same.
Exactly. So I don't understand, and this is why. Um, okay, so I might be a little gray. I'm trying to fight my gray hairs, and so I don't like um, box dyes or having to, because they all kind of lift to drop color. Even the no black hair. Okay, so it's like super dark brown, because if I put jet black dye on my hair, I don't know what that, I look like an alien. It's not okay. And so I have been looking up, back in the 1600s, how people would dye their hair before dyes existed for that purpose. And I'm all like, oh, just boil potato peel water, and however many times a week, just put your boiled potato peel water over your hair, and rinse it out and do all the stuff, and it will stain your hair. And people don't do this because I'm just going to go and pick up some box dye at your grocery store, and it is what it is. But those dyes leave your hair with lines of demarcation from new growth and whatever. It's never going to be the same. Yet, if you do these natural things, if you're blonde, they have these. If you're red, they have those. If you've got the dark hair, you've got this stuff, and you use them as a rinse. A, they're all natural. B, it's free because it's kitchen scraps. And C, there's never that line, because it's such a gradual thing, just over and over and over, that it always natural. Because you have to do an extra step of, instead of throwing out your potato peels, you boil them for 5 minutes, and they fall out of favor, because innovation is a good thing. Innovation, convenience, all of that is a good thing. And then we go into that full on. We forget that anything else used to exist. Fast forward 30 years, where we were all like, plastic, yay, woohoo, and and now we're just like, ooh, it's plastic. And so there's pros and cons over time, and we forget where things came from. Having said all of that, I find things that we don't have explanations for, to go through that same kind of, it used to be this and then we forgot about that, and so now we're defining it like this and then we forget about that. But if you go over time with certain things, I mean, the earth is flat, the sun is a god and we need to appease them, all of these things, and we can science our way out of that, and I love that we can. But that doesn't mean that we have to. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that we have to um, make scientific sense and figure out why a diamond is a diamond. Why can't we just enjoy the diamonds and understand that this is where they're found? So it had to be some kind of pressure, but no, we have to sit there and we have to scrape them and we have to carbon date them and we have to break it down to figure out what it's made of and how it's made and can we replicate it and all of these things. And while I love science, and I don't ever poo-poo the science, you can't be mad at the science, you know. While there's all of that, there is there's no reason why we have to try so hard to define things that make sense in modern times. Because here's the thing. Maybe they'll make sense 100 years from now. Maybe something will change and we'll figure it out. But we spend so much time and so much resources on all of these things. And then when it comes to Stonehenge and it comes to all of those things that we can't figure out,
I know I might have lost Pretty Bird. Oh, that's going to break my heart.
what
Oh, there she is.
happened?
You were gone there for a second.
Oh, yeah, no, I was talking.
I know, you were talking and you silenced out for a moment.
Well, that's
So,
funny because I had gone to see if anybody was messaging us on AP. And so
uh-huh.
if I can't be on the phone in the studio and look or and read on AP at the same time, we're gonna have a problem. You're gonna be reading everything.
Oh, great. Well, that's not good because you have a poem up. Oh no.
Okay, so let me
So you
try
could.
that, and that's a long one too. Let me try to see if I
Okay.
can. Okay, can
All
you still
right.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so all right, then it should be fine. So I don't understand why it cut out since I was just
Yeah.
in another thing. All right, here we go. This is excerpts from a bad dream by me, Pretty Bird, and hopefully y'all hear me all the way through because it's kind of long. Here we go. My eyes open. I'm tied to the bed. Blurred bodies make sounds I cannot decipher. I can't move but manage to hear myself breathe. Please, before I lose consciousness again. My eyes open. I'm tied to the bed. Blurred bodies make sounds that are still unfamiliar. My head hurts as I smell my dentist's office and the drilling of bone. Blinking through the fog, I see a body where mine should be, but it lies open. No blood, just organs being counted like stockroom inventory by people that don't seem much like people. I can't remember my mom. What's my name? I see the pony I fell off of when I was 6. I know I loved someone. What is your name? My eyes open. I'm tied to the bed. This dream sucks. No words. Blurred bodies watch me, silent. The steel table beside me holds jars of organs like an autopsy. I can't move my head. I can't pinpoint the pain, but it hurts. The room is too clean and their eyes are too big. Maybe they're too tall. I can't see. It's too quiet. That body is empty. What is? My eyes open. The bed is gone and I don't hurt. The air feels funny and tastes like plastic or like burning plastic smells. Everything looks distorted and far away. I can't move my neck. I wiggle my parts and they seem fine, effortless, but they don't feel like anything. There's a wall of shelving across the room. Jars, so many jars. There's a TV with a soft glow. They walk into the room and look at me. I beg them to tell me what's going on. I can hear them, but can't hear my voice. The screen lights words that scroll backward in English with symbols beneath. It's scrolling my words. The screen shows a floating head with a transparent skull. The brain is an angry pink. I look closer. I I notice their backs as they face me. My eyes open. I see the screen scrolling backwards. My name is End story.
That is awesome. That is really, really good. I mean, I just love the details in this. First off, you're such a fabulous person to listen to. I mean, you have that voice, and the way you read this is like a combination of seduction and terror. So it was just perfect. Blinking through the fog, I see a body where mine should be. No blood, just organs being counted like stockroom inventory by people that don't seem much like people. I mean, this is like so scary. Like, oh God, it's what could happen or might happen or what people say does happen, and you're not really sure. Am I or aren't I or could I be or maybe I am and who am I? And I know I love someone. What's your name? And just the confusion and the fog and everything that's going on. It's just stunningly beautiful. And this is what we fear the most. This is what we fear, that we don't have control, but we're going to see it. We're going to be part of it. Um, that idea that we'll see it all, but we'll have no control. It's almost like waking up in a surgery and you have no control and nobody knows that you're awake. That's one of my biggest fears. That was my biggest fear going into my heart surgery, that I'd be awake
I mean, you are a
and
redhead.
I know and no one would know. So it's just lovely. Um, yeah, I can't move my head. I can't pinpoint the pain, but it hurts. And then I like, even though they put you back together, they put everything back, you just still don't feel quite right. You don't feel quite right. There's something wrong. And then you're reading your own story. You're reading it like they read your mind the whole time you were thinking. And they're going to tell you, okay, the brain is an angry pink. I look closer. I notice their backs as they face me. My O is open. I see the screen scrolling backwards. My name is, and just end it there. Like, did they tell you your name? Do you know your name, or are you just lost in their world? What's going to happen? What's going on? Are you going to stay there? Are you not going to stay there? Are they
Oh,
going to
I
let
am
you
that
go?
head in a jar and talking through that screen that they're reading and it's across the room from me. And so or they're looking at me and I see their back across the thing and I'm just like, oh, so that's me. That's lovely. I have been gutted and I am now a head in a jar that is still cognizant. It's fabulous.
Mm, we don't know. We don't know everything they're going to do. That's what they could put you, but yeah, because they have
And
all your
I think that
parts.
I completely dropped the ball on the anal probing.
Yeah, we didn't get the anal probing in this
Yeah.
one, but that's okay. There's no big anal probing, but that's okay. That's good. Um, do you want to do announcements before I put another one up? Because it's
Um,
exactly 11 o'clock.
we can absolutely do that. So on a Tuesday, well, if I can get out of the studio. Okay, let's
Yeah.
see. On Tuesday, I don't know what the fuck's coming up, to be honest with you. It is What does it say? Big hands, you say. It's big feet, you say. I really just completely, it's fine. It is big feet, you say. So we've all heard the old wives' tales about predictions. Are they true or truly unreliable? Whether it's size or other predictions, can we foresee the unforeseeable? Do we really want to? Does it even matter at all? So that'll be an interesting conversation.
Mhm. And then on Thursday, it is the birth of a smile. We all have those little things that seem to make us smile. At times, the warmth and the fuzzies can be hard to come by, whether it's those infamous whiskers on kittens or the smell of your favorite things. What are some of those favorite little things that brighten your day, lift a mood, and birth a smile? So that's coming up.
Awesome.
And of course, you can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast. We are everywhere on Facebook Live, on X or Twitter. We are on YouTube. We are on Tuesdays and Thursdays live. You can find all of our other podcasts that we have presented on Pretty Sweet at podbean.com. That's PRTTYSWEET.com.
Pretty
And
sweet dot podbean.com.
prettysweet.podbean.com. I always forget the pod. And you can listen to Hours and Hours. You can follow us on Facebook, X, Twitter, and Instagram. We have all of that out there. Leave your comments, leave your hearts, leave everything you can for us because we love hearing from you. Um, let's see. Like, follow, share. What else am I forgetting?
Yeah, you can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the places. Just type in that pretty sweet and click on the red shoes, and you can find hundreds of hours of us talking. We are live on YouTube, X, and Facebook every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 o'clock. If you want to have your poetry featured on a show, if you want to call in, we have an all poetry group, also called Pretty Sweet Distractions. Just look it up and join us, and you too can have your poems all over the interwebs.
Oh, boomer. Yes. So yeah, we are here, live and well. We have not been alien abducted, at least not yet. We
Would
may
we
be.
remember?
Yeah, I haven't been. I have not been anal probed yet by an alien.
I mean, I don't know if I would know if I had been.
This is true. But as of yet, I don't think I have been. So this is my how the world was born story, my flash fiction story about aliens. So here we go. How the World Was Born by Sweet Pea. The traffic over the last 3 moons of Saturn was a bitch. Damn thing has been under construction for 1,900 square light nautical miles. But Mars was just a few hours away. A quick stop. Yeah, a quick, my purple sucking alien ass. For Margot was to shop for our visit to Earth. Then I could spend a whole quid season torturing the humanoids. Marco and Margot had been planning their trip to the Earth since they first met as seedlings during their first growing period. Between the growing, dying, and reincarnating, they managed to stay in touch. He had grown into a delicate wisp of greenery, capable of bearing seeds for centuries. Margot was grand to look upon, her dark granite hide and tall shape, always loyal and fierce protector of her mate. They had both chosen the typical beach-style bodies of California as their Earth costumes fit among the locals. Not quite understanding Margot in a bikini and Marco in whatever that is, walking around New Jersey during a November snowstorm wasn't quite the norm. Margot sat down in the diner and smiled at the people looking at her, leaned into Marco and whispered, "I must look stunning." Marco nodded, his head in total agreement. A shy young waiter walked over and asked, How long have you been in town? Just a few days, Marco said. The waiter pulled his skin away from his skull and with blue like fish scales gurgled, "You got it all wrong." He slipped him an address on a napkin and spoke, "Go, now. You should have gone through customs and read the pamphlet on visiting Earth." The fishy waiter pushed them out the door. While we have done nothing wrong. What rules? I don't have to follow any rules. I will anal probe anybody I want, eat eyes, scare children, finish my list of experiments. No one's going to tell me how to have a vacation. Pluto isn't a planet bullshit. The building seemed empty at first, but once you opened the second door past the old meat locker, there was a cornucopia of crazy. Every type of creature from every part of the universe was there, and everyone had something to say. There were permit lines for experiments, for probing, for tipping cows in crop circles. Mandatory classes from how to dress to how to become a world leader. A list of universal laws of what can be shared and what cannot be shared. Biohazard procedures for what to do and what you can eat, and if you eat bad food. Biohazard indeed. An A-list of aliens, and the party houses are always open for play. How this really is alive. Rednecks are fun to play with in the southern parts of the USA. Show your ships at night around Area 51 just for shits and giggles. The Eiffel Tower in Paris and London Buckingham Palace are great photo shoots too. But the number one rule? Clean up your technology. We left something once for peace, and they still can't figure out what to do. Marco and Margot rearranged their plans, got dressed properly, and found a redneck farm to land. Put on a green suit and tipped some cows and puked neon yellow cream corn. Beamed some humans up to watch their alien porn. Each of them left swearing. They understood how the world was born. End poem.
So before I go running amok in comments, Rack, did you come back? Are you still with us?
No, I think
No.
he was in now.
He was in here listening, and I was all excited. And every time I call his name, he just disappears. He is real, I promise.
Yes.
So I absolutely love how they are in November in New York City in a bikini and whatever the hell that is, because that was awesome. So that is freaking fabulous. I don't need any stinking rules. This reminded me in bits and pieces of Men in Black. I love those movies. I watched all those movies with my kids, and they were just like, "Oh, that's amazing!" And for a while there, they wanted a pug, and now they're all like, "No." I'm so glad they grew out of that stage. But oh yeah, absolutely. Because here's the thing. So I live in Florida, and Florida is very much, all tourists all the time, depending on where you are. It's all tourists or a whole lot of nothing. And even if they're not talking, even if they're not wearing a straw hat and cameras like they do in the movies, even if none of that is there, you can 100% tell who the tourists are. Always. And maybe it's that they're red like a lobster. Maybe it's that they're laughing too loud. Maybe it's that they don't know that it's in poor taste to go to an overly full family restaurant, kick off your flip-flops and start picking between your toes at the dinner table. The things I have seen. Okay, not okay. And they don't understand things that they may or may not find normal aren't always normal here. Like we don't understand the cultural nuances of, France, because they're different. And so here's the thing. If it's not just the cultural nuances, if it's between species, it's like trying to figure out what the gorillas are saying. Either we teach them sign language or we just assume that they see things the way we see things. Oh, he must be sad. Oh, they must. How the fuck do we know they're gorillas? Just because some movements that they do can kind of mimic what human movements are, or the
Okay.
but this is what we do even here. Could you imagine if we then had to go to another planet? And I love this. Pluto isn't a planet of bullshit because it's insane. But so the idea of them coming here, thinking they know everything, thinking, no, this is what we wear. I've seen all those little commercials and movies and whatnot, and this is what they wear. Perhaps, in moderate climates and the proper season, you know. So I kind of really love that they're walking around, and my head goes to the thong, and this little string bikini thong, barefoot, walk like they're walking on the beach into some diner in the middle of New York City when it's snowing, and I'm just like, oh, that's nice. But when they're told, listen, you got it wrong, go here, I don't have to listen to your shit. It's like the European tourists that don't tip. And it's not because they're cheap. It's because I would like to think, I'm sure there's some arrogant assholes out there that absolutely know, but I would like to think it's because over there, the gratuity is included in the price. They don't tip,
Oh,
they just pay. And here, it's a different thing. And so if you were never taught that, you're going to do it wrong. People are going to get screwed, and nobody's going to like you. you know and it just kind of is that way. So if we make those mistakes in the same species, could you imagine a whole other life form? Could you imagine, going down to Alpha 320Z and being like, I'm going to summer over here by the eye of whatever the fuck this planet is, not realizing that, um, maybe you need a different gas mask than you do on Mars. You know what I mean? Because I love that. And I love the arrogance of, I know what the hell I'm doing. You can't tell me what to do. Yet, maybe follow the rules. Maybe understand a couple of things so that people don't look at you like you're a freak of nature. And I love that. I love how they are all, first of all, the fact that they picked the California beach bod, more power to them. That alone cracks me up because there's a very small percentage of, humans that have a California beach bod. So if you want to fit in with the human society, maybe you don't pick the upper echelons of elitism when it comes to what your body looks like.
yeah.
But I kind of love that. No, this is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. This is all the things. And it cracks me up. Because, yeah. And the thing is that it's not the arrogance that is unhuman, because that is very much how we are. You can't tell me what to do. I don't have to follow those stinking rules. I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, have you seen all of these Karen reels where they, chase somebody down, ran to the back of their car and swear they were in the right? I mean, that sounds just like us. So that's not going to get them caught. It's the other idiosyncrasies that make people look at you like you're, a little odd. Like if you're walking around in snow, why aren't your feet falling off?
Mm-hmm.
But I absolutely love that. I love the humor in it. I love the way you depict the choices. It's like, I'm going to try on this skin. This is what's going to work for me. Now I'm going to go amongst the people. So I don't know how you are when you go to weird places, whether it's other states or other countries, because, let's face it, and here in America, sometimes, this town to that town is like a different universe, and this state to that state is very different. And California is not like New York, and Miami ain't like anything. So it is what it is. And so if I'm going to bring my kind of aloof Fort Lauderdale kind of, I don't need to talk to you, don't look at me attitude, to a place where everybody's like, hey, you're new here, what's your name? That's going to be a problem. And if but okay, I'll give you an example. My mom's friend that she grew up with came to visit us a few times, and to we took her down to Miami. This was before my wedding. We took her down to Miami with us because I needed to get fabric, and if I'm gonna get, you know, dozens of yards of fancy freaking fabric, I'm going to go down to the wholesale place. I'm going to traverse that Miami traffic 45 minutes away from my house. It's going to suck, and I don't care because I'm not going to pay bougie prices in Boca when I can get it for a tenth of the price in Miami. So we all went, and since we were down there, we decided to go to this little Cuban bakery and get some stuff. So we walk in there. Now, this lady at the time, she was mid 50s, and she never shaved her legs. And that's perfectly fine. Nobody has to shave anything. I don't have a problem with how people like to keep themselves. It ain't my business. But it's Florida and it's hot. So she's chubby. She had on short shorts. And like when I say her legs were hairy, I mean they were full on man hair hairy. Like full on. Like she had, just full on. And these very bald skinned women were looking at her like, ugh. And she turned around. Now, keep in mind, it is me, it is my mother, it is my sister, it is two of her kids, it is my aunt. And we're just all there as nice as can be, just minding our own beeswax. And all of a sudden, you hear, what the fuck are you looking at from Brooklyn, right? Keep your eyes to your
Yeah.
fucking self. All the stuff in their face. They didn't say a word to her. They're mortified. I'm dying of laughter. My mom walked out because she couldn't even, she's like, first of all, don't embarrass me. Second of all, this is really, really funny, but didn't want to laugh in her friend's face. And I did. I absolutely did. I thought that was absolutely fucking hysterical. I'm like, sweetie, that's how you die. Okay. You're going to hit somebody. Somebody's going to shoot you. Maybe we don't have that conversation here, but okay. I was like, you can just pretend they don't exist. It's okay. She's like, fuck that fucking bullshit, God damn it. Yeah, you're not gonna sit there and look at me like I'm less than whatever. Fuck you. And I'm just like, there are kids, like not just my niece and nephew. It's a it's a bakery. Cakes and cookies. And I'm dying of laughter. My mom was like, oh, sweet Jesus. I'm just like, so I can imagine if that's the cultural differences between how you interact with strangers, right? The fact that these extraterrestrials are then thinking that their shit doesn't stink and they're fitting right in, not even realizing that nobody else is wearing this shit in this weather, it cracks me up because the way you phrase it, the way you wrote that is very nonchalant. It's not even a thought in their head. It's very, I look fabulous. And with zero realization that, oh, why doesn't anybody else look like that? Like they don't, there's no embarrassment because if you take any of us, and I don't care if we have the perfect body. If we walk into a church in a thong, we're going to feel some kind of shame. We're going to want to cover something up. That is not going to happen. You know what I mean? And you're going to, at the very least, feel uncomfortable, even if you're pretending you don't. And they are oblivious, which I love because that absolutely makes them feel a lot more not of this earth because society and familial norms and whatnot, there's a lot of shame and embarrassment for just innate in certain situations. So the fact that they don't even notice anything is brilliant. So that was a very, very fun story to listen to. So awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to either. Oh, do you want to read Budo?
I'll read whatever you put up. It's fine.
Yeah, I think we'll do Budo. We'll have Budo come up and I think we'll do him first because he's got two. So we'll do Budo, Rack, and Budo. That'll work out for us.
I would go from the top down.
Oh, okay. We can do that.
because that tends to
Uh,
be the order people like things on the first one, you know. Okay, so you post it and I'll read it. Let me know when you're ready.
I did go from the top down.
You posted Babel. The top one is unknown origin.
Oh, okay.
Let me know when you're
I
ready.
did some. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. This is Unknown Origin by Budo. And it goes like this. They left a stone marker, not unlike Stonehenge in England, um, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, the Karnak stones in France, the Moai statues of Easter Island, but this monument rests on the grasslands of the plains of Catania. 37.5 degrees north latitude and 15.08 degrees east longitude. Built 2 millennia in the deep past history of civilization's emergence. A circular Tuscan colonnade erupts upward to support a volcano Clementine gray covered dome. Directly underneath the dome, a bronze baldacchino. An altar rests in the center of the enclave, encircled by colonnade and just below ground to be invisible to the elements. On the walls of the enclave are carved alien pictographs divided in vertical columns and a star map of constellations, possibly showing their origins. This structure was placed here far from anywhere to protect it from prying hands and eyes, to keep its innards intact upon their return. And one day they shall. I absolutely love that. And this is and in his author's notes, he says this is a fictional story to describe the image. And I love that the image is the top and everything else is safe below the earth. I absolutely love that. There's a delicateness in the way he writes, almost like a reverence for the possibility of what this is, almost like they came here. They did all the things that earlier in the show. And this is where those star maps are. This is where they would come, kind of like their home base, to align themselves with all the things here, kind of like a visitor center, so to speak. I love the idea of that, where it is safe, it is hidden, and by whatever alien powers they go stand under this dome, they somehow get to the stairless underground, and that's where all the intelligence is. That's where all of their uh, memories are. That's where all of the guidance of aliens past left their records to guide future generations on this plane of existence. And I love that story. And I'm sure that I butchered 90% of all these words, and I'm okay with that. It is what it is. I tried, but I love this. This structure was placed here far from anywhere to protect it from the prying hands and eyes, to keep its innards intact upon their return. And that's exactly it. This image is a dusty kind of wasteland desert, and there's this perfectly half round dome with columns like the Parthenon in the middle of nowhere on a little mini acropolis, right? And so there's nothing. It's like this ancient gazebo. So the idea that there is an entire um, underground uh, building or area or temple or whatever it is that has all of the information that us as humans tend to crave because we want to know all the things. I find that to be quite delightful. And this reads like a history lesson. It reads like this is exactly where it is, to the point where I might need to go and look up whatever these coordinates are, like on Google Maps when the show's over, because I want to see exactly all the things, because this sounds absolutely plausible. even if you made up every single word. And what I find amazing is that when it's plausible, it inspires ideas and deeper thought and conversation. When it's plausible, it is both awe inspiring and slightly uncomfortable enough to want to be able to suss it out, to reconcile what we know with what we don't know. And this story, which is only 158 words, does all of those things. And it sounds absolutely real. And I love that it does, because it's the ones that make you wonder, like, could it be? It could be. I wonder if it could be. And that is freaking amazing. So, Sweet Pea, your thoughts?
Oh, I love this. I just like you said, it's I like how he said another. It's a stone marker, not unlike Stonehenge in England, and the other one in Turkey and Easter Island. Those are kind of like the ones I was mentioning at the beginning of this show that they all think are mathematically connected somehow.
Exactly.
So that weird connection that they all have. Is it this weird map or whatever? It's really weird to me. That maybe there is something this great ancient whatever that was left here on Earth, because maybe it was left here long before we even knew of Earth or whatever it may be, because some of them they don't know how old they are, because we do love to carbon date ourselves. And sometimes we carbon date and then we go back and carbon date and then we go back and carbon date and everything just keeps getting older. Um, but this is very interesting and very mysterious, um, and I love how he puts in here a starred map of the constellations, possibly showing their origins. And that is really, I thought, wow, that's kind of cool, because not only are they talking about where they're coming from, they're talking about, oh, this is how you guys got started as a little tiny little universe of your own. But you're just this little tiny baby, and we're just letting you get started. We'll be there in a little bit. It's kind of like Rome is 2,000 years old, and the United States has just turned 250. We're just neophytes in the big old world of the universe. And but we'll be back in a couple, neon thousand billions or whatever time is in the universe, but someday. But you humans aren't going to be here, the petrified humans and all of that. Yes, I did. And so it's very interesting to me that all of that's going on, and they're going to say, well, when you get old enough, or when you get um, to that point, then maybe one day I'll get to the point of coming back. But you're just not quite ready yet. We'll scare the hell out of you, or we're testing you out, or we're making sure we can come back into your environment, or all of these things, and we're just waiting. But we're not allowed in. We're not even allowed into their chambers yet. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see. We'll see. Um, I'm pretty sure that we'll have to wait and see. So I'm very excited about all of that. It's going to be an interesting place to land. So we can all be happy about that. I loved it. I really loved it. So we're good to go. So we are going to go ahead and put the other man up, the man that's popped in and popped out and popped in and popped out. So let me get all of that fun stuff ready. I have been a little discombobulated here in this last hour, and I don't know why. My world has been kind of crazy. Oh, here we go. Now get back to where I belong. Ah, that was great. I love the mystery of it. It was very fun. Oh, you have him up. So I just need to start him. Okay, you ready? I am ready. So here we go. Here comes Raconteur. Ricky baby.
Rewind by Raconteur. Sitting at her vanity, adorned in a diaphanous emerald camisole that exaggerated her alabaster skin, she gazed wistfully into the giant mirror. The room behind her was black as pitch, except for the dim yellow light underlining the crack beneath the bathroom door. Everything was quiet as a tomb, except for the rhythmic tick-tock of the grandfather clock, keeping time with the sounds of the brush running through the waterfall of crimson hair that made her look like elven royalty. Her dark chocolate eyes were puffy and moist from weeping. Moments like this, her mind can't help but play the skeletons of her memories like a xylophone, trying to soothe the ghost haunting her conscience. Closing her eyes, the lines between fantasy and reality blur, filtering out everything except the innocent squeals and giggles of a child's happiness. This was the sound that anchored her to this world. The bathroom door opened and a man emerged, walking past her as if she wasn't there, turning her into a spectator watching reruns in slow motion. A child, dressed for bed, came bounding into the room and leapt into the man's arms. He kissed her gently on the head and asked if she brushed her teeth. "Of course," she replied soberly. He said, "I love you," as he tucked her into bed. The child, now visibly overcome with sadness, said, "I miss Mommy." The man hugged her and said, "So do I, sweetheart. So do I." End story.
Okay, so I found that absolutely beautiful. And I don't know if you're here or not, Pretty Bird.
I am.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's heartbreaking. I kind of love how it's otherworldly, yes, not quite alien, but absolutely perfect. And it's sad and it is loving. And, you know, sometimes we see our people and sometimes we feel our people and sometimes we want to and can't. And so I kind of love there's a whole story and it seems very kind of everyday to start with. She's got her little fancy camisole. She that just plays against her skin perfectly. She is doing all the things. It's quiet. You hear the clock. It's doing all the stuff. But then she's sad. And while we usually think of things on our end and missing the ones that we have lost, it's an interesting thing to think of the ones that are missing us that are no longer here, because in my head I'm very much, once they are off this godforsaken plane of existence, they've got better shit to do, or the nethers are keeping them too busy to give a damn. And so I kind of love the idea that even for a fleeting moment, they kind of bask in the mundane and missing all the love and all the things. And they're watching the day or the night and what the new normal is looking like, and people are kind of missing each other in equal measure. And I find that to be beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And you know, us who like spooky season, which is coming up sooner rather than later, it's one thing to write the scary ghost stories. It's one thing to write when guilt looks like apparitions. It's one thing to write all of the things that make us uncomfortable because the unknown makes people uncomfortable. It's another thing to write the familiar. It's another thing to write the possibility of longing, even if they are, up in heaven. I know we're like, oh, well, they're looking down on us and they're watching over us and all this stuff. That in my head, the reality is they've got shit to do. Worldly things no longer, that they will meet who they meet when we get to where we get, because if they needed to be tied here, it's unfinished business. And the hope is that our loved ones have finished all their business and they can go and enjoy their afterlife. But the idea of them missing us as much as we miss them is comforting, even though it's sad, you know? And this is just so beautifully written. And I love that he does voices in all his stories. And because it's just extra enough to be fabulous. So I love this. I love that it's very visual, it's very visceral, it's very familiar, and that's a very beautiful thing. So your thoughts?
Oh, I love this too because we often think of ghost as a different realm or anything like that, but just looking at this and I'm wondering, you know, maybe they become a different sort of alien. Maybe they go somewhere and then some of them come back and they invade our space and they do things like that. It's just a thought process that I was just wondering, maybe they're a different type of alien. Maybe there's something there that we don't understand. So I was really thinking about that. Um, and they have a habit of invading your thoughts and invading things and all of that. So they may be the worst kind of alien because they're very familiar and they very much know you, and they can trigger your emotion, and they can trigger your thought and break your heart again. And so I don't know. Some ghost stories are very scary, and some are very sweet, and some are very uh, loaded with revenge and so many things. So I'm kind of glad they're really not the aliens that might want to hurt us. Um, but this one is very lovely, and you never do think of the ghost on the other side missing you or anything like that because, like you said, you think they're on to a better place and a better um, world where they don't have to think about any of the problems they've left behind because that's definitely what you want to wish for someone to. That's why we say rest in peace and to go in peace. So I found this very lovely and sad and, you know, a typical rack, you know, where he touches your soul kind of poem. And it was so very well done. That's why I love Rack. He manages to touch me no matter where he goes. It was very, very well done. Thank you, Mr. Rack. Um, I do have the other Budo up. Do you want to read him or do you want me to read this one?
You read it.
I will read it. I just want to make sure. So this is Babel by Mr. Raconteur. Oh, not Raconteur. I'm
Babylon.
sorry. By Mr. Bud. That should definitely not be Rack. Rack was just red. I'm sorry, Bud. That's not right. Babylon by Budo. Mobo spotted the shiny monolith wall, hunting for a saber-toothed pelt. It sat erect on a bluff nearby, reflecting light like a silver eel in murky waters. He steered his trusty pachyderm towards it. Reaching the craft, the pair approached stealthily closer, his heart pounding with excitement at the discovery. Just then the silver craft began humming. Moab arched back in surprise, raising his club. An opening appeared and a shiny head popped out. It looked one way, but before it turned fully, Moab's club connected with a loud thud, and then another. The creature staggered, then collapsed in front of its ship. Moab scratched his head, jumped down, and knelt nearby the metal figure. It was still roaring from inner workings, but was out cold. Moab grabbed his hollow mastodon horn and blew a distress call. His hunting partner, Phoebus, would arrive shortly. And he did. Phoebus jumped from his mount, eyes wide, jaw dropped open in amazement and awe. He grunted too many questions for Moab to answer, so Moab shouted for him to shut it. So he did. Moab was the leader of the hunt, and he would decide what to do. And he did. They dredged the behemoth back to camp so the whole clan could see the discovery. Everyone came out to look. Food and drink was brought out for the festive celebration that had lasted deep into the night. Then all of a sudden the creature began squawking loud, unrecognizable noises. It continued on while they looked at each other, then back to Moab. The noise was so irritating that he did what was needed. The club connected one more time, but this time the creature's head came clean off and bounced a few yards past the torchlight. No more squawking. Moab lifted his half-eaten drumstick into the air and shook it and howled. It had been a good day. In peace.
Oh, I love this. So this was written to an image of two cavemen on giant elephants dragging a half busted robot, and in the distance there is a rocket ship. So I absolutely love that they are cavemen. I love that they're kind of grunting at each other, and Mobo and Phobos are like, oh, look what we got. And they bring it back over there and starts beep bop boop and all the screeching languages, and they're like, F this, and you know, off with its head. And then they're like, woohoo! And like party time. I absolutely love that it is a complete story, that it is full on. They killed the beast. They're having a celebration. It's a feast, and they found some magic shit. And I absolutely love that. So the one guy's over there, and then he's got his trusty tusk horn, and the second in command comes over, and it takes two giant elephants to drag this thing back to their village. And I absolutely love that. And I love how they were not having any of this screeching, hooting, and hollering nonsense. And he shut them right up. And then they're like, woohoo, that's how it's done. And I love that celebration because they don't know from nothing. They don't know what this is. And it's they don't know if they can eat it. They don't know if it was a hunt. All they know is that this weird thing came to their village, and now it's dead. And so they saved the universe. It might as well be Flash Gordon. Because I love that. I absolutely love that. And he's such a lovely storyteller. He comes and he tells his entire story. There's a gentleness in the way he writes that is absolutely delightful. It's very welcoming, very warm, kind of pulls us right in there to his words. And by the end there, I personally was like, woohoo, I just spilled my stuff on my yarn. That has nothing to do with anything. That's
Are
my
you
bad.
okay?
But I'm fine. I just spilled stuff on my yarn. And so yeah, I absolutely love that. I cannot with the wet yarn.
Oh, I gotta say, I love this one. I love the story. I love the plot. I love, everything about it. It's like, woohoo, we captured something. We don't know what it is, so we're gonna beat it. Um, don't be talking back. And I love how everybody just bows to Moab. That's the way it is. That's the way it's gonna be. He's the king of all things, and so it shall be. And he did, and and so he did. I love that, and he did. And the whole clan, just whatever he wanted, that's what he did. There was food, there was drink. They partied all night, and That's all there was. And the head went bouncing a few yards past the torchlight. No more squawking. And, he's lifting his drumstick in the air. And I just see those giant turkey leg drumsticks that they have at, the fairs. And everybody's dancing around and jumping around and all those fun things. So sounds like a good party after all. So I thought it was a great, you know, story. It's told well, and talk about an alien abduction. That robot had no chance against the cavemen and the elephants and his partner and all the things. So it was just fun to read and to be conquered. So they weren't actually exactly more intelligent than the cavemen. So we have to give them credit because the cavemen were far more intelligent than the actual alien coming to Earth. So we never, like you said earlier, we definitely didn't know that it is possible that our aliens in the past were far more superior than we are here in the future. So that's a great piece. Absolutely wonderful piece. So as we continue talking about the great aliens that continue to invade everything that we are, it's funny that we choose to use extraterrestrials and what they are. Um, I know Pretty Bird started talking about all the things that can invade us and all that, and I think that's one of the things that really makes it fascinates me is all the things that change inside us as humans that invade us and kind of change and develop and like vaccinations that we can change and cure diseases, and we're able to do that at such a micro level and um, do all of those many things, and they can be alien invasions just at that level because we're putting foreign bodies into our own bodies, and we go from there. So when we look at the alien invasions, it's not just looking at what's coming in from other countries, or not other countries, other worlds. It could just be what's coming out of a petri dish, or what's coming out of the next flu that might hit us, or the next disease that might hit us. So I don't know if we necessarily always have to look for the big green men. It's something that's as simple as what's going to attack the human race at the very smallest of levels, because we could be wiped out by something very tiny, not something that's alien, well, at least not that big, or from another force from outside of our own. So, well, I would go through and finish up with announcements. We'll see what's going on there.
All right. So on Tuesday, we have Big Feature Say. We have all heard the old wives' tales about predictions. Are they true or truly unreliable? Whether it's size or other predictions, can we foresee the unforeseeable? Do we really want to? And does it even matter? That is on Tuesday.
And coming up on Thursday is the birth of a smile. We all have those little things that always seem to make us smile. At times, the warm fuzzies can be hard to come by, whether it's those infamous whiskers on kittens or the smell of your favorite smile. What are some of those favorite little things that brighten your day, lift a mood, or birth a smile? That is coming up on Thursday. So you can find us everywhere you find your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Podbean. Let's see. You can find all our many hours of us talking about many things that you will definitely enjoy. So if you want to be distracted, you can find us at Pretty Sweet Pod at podbean.com. That's PRTTYSWEET at podbean.com, where you'll find hours and hours of us to help you be distracted. Um, we are live every Tuesday and Thursday. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on X, Twitter. You can follow us on YouTube. We'd love to entertain you. Please leave your thoughts, your comments, your likes, and we'd love to hear from you. Um, let's see, any other things I might have missed? Miss Bird,
And I
what do you
just
think?
like, follow, share, leave your opinions and our opinions. Click all the hearts and show us some love. And we will see you on Tuesday.
We'll see you on Tuesday. Have a fabulous weekend. And of course, we had a wonderful time. But if you did not, you can.
Wait, we hope that you did too. We want them to have a wonderful time.
Because I always have a wonderful time. So I'm assuming you did too. Yes, and we hope that you did too. um, if you did not, you can, of course.
Fuck all the way off.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.